Okay, I'm waiting on notification now, and boom. Okay, boom. And perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have an incredible guest with us one who's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than Brother Musa Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Yes, sir. This means a lot to myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast that you would take time out of your busy schedule to come and speak with us. The reason I wanted to interview you is because you are always showing love on the YouTube, in the comments, and you always have great responses to what's going on. So I said, let me ask this brother what his life journey has been, and so we can get to know you better, sir. And the first question that I want to ask you is, well, when did you first get introduced to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Oh, wow. I would have to say that would be in the early 80s, I believe. I got introduced to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. A few classmates of mine, they were Muslim. Are we back? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you.
Okay. Hello. A few classmates of mine, they were Muslim. And at the time, I wasn't Muslim, I was a Christian. So I would listen. I wasn't a person who, would turn down things. So I listened intently. I was like, okay, all right, that sounds interesting, but I didn't pay it any mind. Then I became aware of Minister Farrakhan when Jesse Jackson was running for president.
Okay.
And I was like, who is this? That brother there. I was like, that's something else. I like what I'm hearing there. And kind of faded. I know he had trouble and the enemy came at him hard. And I was like, well, he stood strong. So that's my guy. I don't know too much about him, but I know he didn't back down when they pressed him. So I like that guy.
Yes, sir.
After that, 1985 happened. 1985 happens and they have Madison Square Garden, Power Last Forever. And that was like electric. At the time I was a teenager, 14 years old. Don't forget, it was all over the news media and everything. I was like, oof. I said, he came in blazing again. So after that, it kind of, faded away. You're a teenager, so you're into teenage stuff kind of. So, you're doing your thing. So it kind of faded a little bit, but that name kept coming up because, of course, being in New York, you love hip hop. So you're listening. I'm listening to Public Enemy and different things like that. So I'm becoming familiar with the teachers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I was like, oh, yeah. And, much like if you read the autobiography of Malcolm X, when they had that, the white man is the devil, I was like, it kind of struck a chord for me. So after that, I was like, okay, I like what they're doing over there. And that's pretty good. But once again, you get swept up into, I guess, teenage things and, time fades. You fast forward to 1990. 1990 comes around. Around this time, like I said, still going strong, the whole hip hop thing, whole teenager thing. So I start running it into my uncle, who is Minister Clemson Brown, for anybody that's familiar. He has Transatlantic Productions. He does a whole lot of Black history videos. So I was always around this kind of consciousness movement, but it never really took hold because, in Brooklyn, there's a lot to get into and sometimes you gravitate to things you shouldn't gravitate towards. But in any event, after that, I was blessed to see a tape of Dr. Khalid Muhammad at Temple University. I never forget the date, because the date he had on the tape was February 10th, 1990. And he was this bald black man, and he was blazing. I mean, everything that was coming out of his mouth, I was like, ooh, who is that? And my uncle was like, oh, that's Farrakhan's man. He said, oh, yeah? I said, yeah, you love Farrakhan. I said, yeah, I do. So after that, I was like, okay. I listened and I was like, wow, I said, that guy, if I ever get a chance to meet up with somebody like him, oof, I gotta roll with that. So it just so happens, I happen to be in Harlem. Mark 125, they used to have across from the Apollo Theater. And I'm walking, I said, that's the brother. I said, that is the brother. Hold on. So I run up on him, but of course, you know, the proof's right in front of him. And he's like, whoa, 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 be easy. Brother don't know no better. So I came up, I shook his hand. I said, you know, I like what you're saying. I said, you know what, I'd like to hear some more. Where are you going to be? So he said, come on out to the mosque. At the time, they had the mosque on 2033 Fifth Avenue in Harlem. Right? It was in between 125 and 126, I think. Any event, I went and I saw, and I was like, oh, I like this. So I came up and we talked, and afterwards he met with me, he gave me his number, and he found out that I did videotape. So we were talking, and you know, he wanted to set some things up. And the next thing I know, I was like, okay, whenever, whatever you want to do, no problem. So he was moving around the city, and as he moved around the city, I didn't know at the time, but he had just recently gotten to New York from California, I believe. And he was talking about, you know, setting up a base here and doing some big things. I was like, I'd like to be a part of that to help you out and everything. So he's like, yeah, whatever you can do to help me, that's fine. So we did. And at the time he had a brother David 3X, that was his chief of staff, I believe. And he came and, you know, set up the video appointment, said, you guys are going to be our official video crew. And whenever he was in New York, we would videotape him and, you know, just kind of, you know, get the word out that Doc was in town. So we did that, and we got kind of closer, and we would go and move all around the city. And he worked with another brother at the time who had a shop on 125th Street, brother Malachi. And he, like I said, he set up different things on cable access programs or Black Youth Day events. And we would always be with him, and we'd be videotaping him for just about everything. So we had a large archives of Dr. Khalid videotapes. And you kind of get to know him after a while, you know, certain things, and, you know, coming around and talking. And good brother. So that was my real introduction to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, pretty much.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Sorry for being long-winded, but.
Oh, no. This was what it's all about. We learning. Thank you, sir. Both of my sisters, Miriam and Naima, send the greetings and say peace. My next question for you, sir, is once you took your Shahada, and how did your family and friends feel about you saying that you would be a Muslim if you grew up Christian?
Well, because I got a family full of preachers, you know, at first, they're like, what are you doing there? But it came gradually over time, because for a long time I had been affiliated with Dr. Khalid or different things. So they knew what direction I was leading in. And while I didn't get a lot of pushback, and actually my mother, she actually supported and was like, you know what? This is pretty good, and I see you going forward here. And funny story, I did try to join the nation like 2 times. They used to have me buy 5 index cards, and I wrote it on there and gave the contact information, but they never. After, you know, trying this 2 or 3 times and nobody got back to me, I was like, maybe I just leave it alone. I left it alone, and the next thing I know, I kind of came in contact with some Sunni brothers and sisters, and it's like, oh, well, you know, this is Islam. And they told me different things. Now, I must admit, and even to this day, I am a staunch Honorable Elijah Muhammad man. And even tell them that too. In fact, even when I took a Shahada, I told him, I said, brother, we ain't coming here to be no slaves to no Arabs, are we? He just got rid of one slave. He's like, oh, no, we're not doing that here. He said, you see us, we don't do that. I said, all right, because I can't leave, you know, one slave master for another.
Yes, sir.
He's like, all right. So I took a Shahada, but I must admit, in my heart, still always, you know, respect to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Farad Muhammad, because for us here in America, nobody else came to get us. So, you know, I look at everybody else, you know, after the work get established, you will come here and take the credit. I can't let you do that.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. And do you teach? Are you like an imam? Do you ever want to go into speaking? No.
Oh, no, sir. Not at all.
Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question for you is, what was it like working with Dr. Jeffries and Dr. Henry Clark?
Oh, that was fantastic, brother. Those were some good brothers too. Like Dr. Jeffries, he is so great. What he does is he treats you just like your family. You come in and he's never going to be on time because that's not what Dr. J does. So you got to be able to have an open schedule. And when he does, he sits you down and all day long, you're going to be learning because it's going to be little lessons and he's going to be teaching you here, he's going to teach you there. And we went all over with Dr. J. I was, blessed to have a time where we filmed him at Duke University. I know you're a big Duke fan. and he turned it out at Duke, matter of fact. That was one of his best Duke University. He spoke at Southern University. So anything that was connected to ASCAC, Association for Classical African Civilizations, or AHA, African Heritage Studies Organization, those association, those kind of things, you have seminars all over the country where all of the leading scholars of Afrocentric thought or, just advancement of Black education in the country would get together and you got to see those things. As for Dr. Clark, like a wise old man. You have pretty much like the Mr. Miyagi for the rest of his scholars, because he taught a lot of them, and he was the old man, would give you a lot of advice, not a lot of words, kind of like that Southern wisdom kind of thing, like your grandfather would teach you, and he used little stories and little things to teach you, and you'd be like, okay. So sometimes I would have to drive Dr. Clark around to get him to, a venue or certain things like that, and I was blessed to be able to videotape and learn from him and learn from Dr. Ben, just by the nature of the work of videotaping.
Okay, great. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You said that you, and thank everybody who's in the comments and liking, sharing, and subscribing to the People's Podcast. I thank you all. I can't wait to put this on YouTube, sir. My next question is, you said you got to work with Minister Hafiz. What was that like?
Oh, that was great too. Like I said, Minister Hafiz, I mean, at the time when I met him, it was Minister Kevin Muhammad, before he got his holy name. And he was always a straight shooter. And the thing I loved about him is we would do videotapes for him too. And he was also our teacher, and I was part of the manhood training class, which was right before the Million Man March. And he would teach in there, and he was great. Like I said, him and Captain Dennis, oh man. I said, Captain Dennis, anybody knows Captain Dennis, he could have you ready to run through a brick wall. He's like, yeah, brother. And make you believe in yourself, because the captain, boy, he has quite the personality. And I never forget, he gave a speech one time, and I was like, if this brother told me to go out here and stop traffic with my bare hands, I would do it. It was like that. So much inspiration. And Brother Hafiz was pretty much the same way, but in a different way. Because he was one of those, straight no chaser teachers. And I remember telling, trying to tell brothers, look, you gotta get your stuff together, brothers. Come on, Black man. That's how he would talk different things like that and let you know, well, what are you doing out here? Are you improving yourself? Or, he was a more motivation, because he made you look inward and you'd be like, you know what, he's right. Whatever he would teach, you always kind of look inside yourself and be like, yeah, he's right. We gotta do something here. So Brother Hafiz was like I said, a gentle giant. That's the best way to kind of describe him. And our brother, making transition and last year was kind of it hurt me, because I was like, wow, you so strong and so big, to see him, was just like normal. You just always believed he'd be there giving you a lot of guidance.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Well, my next question for you is, what can we do to further unite the Ummah, with the Sunni Muslims, the FOI, the NOI, and the Shia, whatever the different sects? How can we all become more unified? Like how you seem to be able to go in both, and it's all love. Like how can we better do that? Okay, 1 second. We're waiting on our brother to come back. Thank everybody who's watching, and like, share, subscribe. We're waiting on our brother, brother Musa.
Well, the first thing you have to realize is we are brothers here. A lot of foreign brothers and sisters, they come here and they can't understand it because they don't have that dynamic. We suffered from a common enemy. We have common problems, and nobody really cares about what we're going through except us. So why would I divide myself from you? I may need you. And I also heard the minister one time speaking. He said, we can debate all of that once we get free. And I was like, yeah, that's fine with me. We can do whatever we have to do to debate or a little theological difference when we get free. Right now, we got to focus on getting free here.
Yes, sir.
Two slaves arguing doesn't make no sense.
That's right. That's right. Beautiful. Praise be to Allah.
So, yeah. Like I said, my thing is, we can't let a lot of foreign influence tell us who our friends should be and who our friends should not be. And also, I think a lot of problems that the Sunni community has is they hear, but they don't really listen to Minister Farrakhan. What they need to hear with Minister Farrakhan is, you listen, they see that a lot of the stuff that he's saying, you might not agree with it, but you can't say that it's outside the realm of Islam because he interpreted it from what you're conventionally used to listening to. So, just have an open mind. And on the side of the FOI, don't be scared. These are your brothers. Like I said, when they see them, if you see me, give me a salam because I'm going to give you a salam right back. And if you need my help, I'm going to help you. So anything that they need, I'm on deck for them. It's the same thing. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me who I can be friends with and who I can't be friends with. Those are my brothers.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Well, speaking of, traveling and being in New York and all across, I guess, the East Coast, have you ever faced fear? And if so, how have you overcome that fear?
Fear. I watch you ask this all the time, and now you tell me and I have a blank. Let me see. In terms of fear, well, I'll tell you one time I did have a fear and overcame it. We were driving to film a youth retreat that the United African Movement put on, and they held in upstate New York. Anybody who knows anything about upstate New York is you might as well be anywhere else where they're talking about crack is acting crazy. Then yeah, upstate New York is one of those places too. So, yeah, we got pulled over one time by the police, and it was a lonely, dark road. There was nobody there. Me and the brother with me, we weren't breaking any laws, so we couldn't figure out what happened. State trooper gets out, he comes over to the window, guns drawn, and was talking about, he said, let me see your license and registration. What was going on here, but we had some serious stuff. So I looked at my partner, he looked at him, and we looked at one thing for sure: if something happens, we ain't going quietly. So, but we had to really face fear then. But all praise due to Allah that everything worked out and we were able to continue on our journey. And I tell you what, after that, wasn't too many more trips upstate.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay, now can you explain it? Because I always tell people that I'm learning New York through the lens of the guest. So I'm learning the Queens, Berkeley, so I'm learning all of that. So upstate New York is where Diddy used to get cheesecakes. Like I'm listening to music, like upstate, like what's upstate? Like what is like?
No, he didn't get it from upstate. He got it from Brooklyn and Juniors.
Okay,
That's
okay. Okay,
upstate
so
New York is rural, kind of.
Okay,
kind of rural.
Okay.
It's above the Bronx and Yonkers and like I said, it's raw. After you get out of those 5 boroughs and you travel like about 30 or 40 minutes to the north of New York City, yeah, you might as well be anywhere else in the country where we don't live.
Got it. Yes, sir. Okay, well, I wanted to ask you, you spoke earlier about the Million Man March and leading up to it with the men's meeting. Did you go to the Million Man March? And if so, how did it personally impact you?
Ooh, I went to both of them. I went to the men's meeting that Minister Farrakhan had at the Armory. And matter of fact, we filmed that too. But talk about powerful to see all those black men in there. And that was just a microcosm of what the Million Man March was. The Million Man March was something I will never forget. And it was, brother, it's incredible. Let me tell you. First off, we left New York about maybe 11:30, 12 o'clock. So you're going to get to D.C., it takes like about 4 hours or so. But then I wake up and they're like, well, what's wrong? I said, what happened? Where we at? And he said, oh, we're in traffic. So I said, traffic? At 4 in the morning? What's going on? So I looked out the window and sure enough, we were in traffic. But it was a different kind of traffic I had never seen before. It was all tour buses. I said, there was nothing but buses. There were no cars. You look to the left, you look to the right, as far down as you can see nothing but buses. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be big. This is going to be big. And by the time the sun came up and we had disembarked from the bus and walking towards the venue, we came over a hill and we saw nothing but a sea of black people. All these brothers, man, different places. And the thing that is crazy about this, I saw brothers from different parts of the country and bumped into them. And like I said, to me, that was like amazing. There's a million people, and I'm bumping into people that I know from all over the country. I was like, wow, what are the chances of that happening here? And that day is just like, I felt like I was floating for the whole day, All, the speakers, they were great. And it was fantastic to me. Like I said, I never had a feeling like that. And I know a lot of brothers who changed their life. I had a brother with me, and at that time, that brother was a hustler. And he was doing his thing, but he came out there. As soon as he's like, I can't do that no more. I can't. He went back. He threw away all his stuff there. I don't know how much money that was, but he got rid of all of that. And next thing you know, he was doing the right thing. He just, whatever he had to do to, feed his family, he wasn't going to do nothing that was going to harm other black people. And I respected him for that. And to this day, we still talk about how that changed his life. That brother he's something else, because I remember beforehand.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay, we're Brother Musa. We have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. 1 second. Hold on. And I want to thank everybody who continues to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast and comment. Like Brother Musa, this is how we met, was through the comments on YouTube. And I thank everybody who always shows love and engages with the People's Podcast and with one another. Thank you all very much. Hold on 1 second. And shout out to everybody who's in the comments on Facebook as well. 1 second. If you would like to be a sponsor or donor, please cash out the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premier Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out to him if you need any of those services. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go get those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country and right here in the studio in Atlanta, Georgia. We love our tiny dancers. Raw Communications, what they offer is copy editing, project management, content development, and media relations. If you're working on a book, please reach out to them. Also, Student Minister Robert L. Muhammad, conflict mediation out of the Southwest region, squashing the beef in the community. He does a phenomenal job. His wife, Sister Fudia Muhammad, Children of the Most High, giving birth to a God in the science of child rearing. Please reach out to her. Also, Fashion Gods, 314-329-6009, urban streetwear clothing for men and boys. He'll keep you fresh. We're coming right back to our brother. Power Campus Online Learning. Do you want to improve your homeschooling experience? We're here to help. 770-847-0786. Turkey Legs right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 Disinfecting Cleaning Services out of Chicago. My father's book, Soldier in the Movement of Christ, and Down is Not Out, AbdulSharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much for every sponsorship, donation, like, share, and subscribe. We're right back to our brother Musa Ahmed. Okay, yes, sir. My next question for you, sir, is what has been the greatest trial in your life? And how have you overcome that trial?
I would have to say the death of my mom, and I guess in general, like I said, that's always been pretty particularly tough for me. Even though I know, to Allah we belong and to Allah we return, having the person's physical amongst you is a little bit different when because once they're gone, you can't ask them the questions that you may want to ask them.
Yes, sir.
Or
yes, sir.
what have you. So, when you're used to, somebody being there, then it really makes you where you have to look inside and, I guess reflect on everything that you taught and just make your own decisions and try not to, shame and embarrass them if they taught you good. And, stand up and do what you can after that, but it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing.
Yes, sir. Trust me, I understand. And well, speaking of that, I've been going to a lot of janazas lately. Went to one yesterday. What have you? What is there like a word or a hadith or something from the Holy Quran that you pull on that you give advice to people who are going through suffering and things of that nature?
Yes, and one of the things is that speak now to the dead as they're dead, they're here, but you perceive them not.
That's right.
So
that's
in
right.
other words, what you may feel a lot of times, sometimes, really, to be honest, what the old folks used to say in my family is funerals for the living, they ain't for the dead. Right? So really, to be honest, that's more you, and you have to learn that with you getting over certain things, that's not the person. And the person lived their life, they did what they had to do here. What are you doing with your life while you're here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Okay, great. And my sister Miriam says, all praises due to Allah. Okay, well, what about your joy? What has been the greatest joy in your life, sir?
Definitely my kids. Especially my children. My
Yes,
children.
sir.
I got 3 girls, 3 different personalities, and 3 different bosses. You never know enough, or either put it like this, whatever it's either, oh man, here comes daddy with all that old stuff again. That's what he's talking about. He killed it. We don't want to hear that.
Yes,
or either
sir.
every once in a while, I may slip up and catch them because, I like a lot of old school music too. So I'll be like, oh, all right. See, daddy must do something. You like that music too, huh? But I love them because they help keep me, feeling young and vibrant because, they're teaching me. I'm learning from them too, the same way I'm teaching them.
Yes,
So
sir.
I had to say it's been my daughters. And of course, I love my wife too. Man, can't leave her out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, speaking of your wife, what advice would you give to future husbands?
Be patient, brother. That's what I can tell, brother. Be patient. It ain't gonna always go the way you think it's gonna go.
Man,
That's number one. Number 2, you have to learn a lot of patience. And since we're talking about Islam a lot, the Prophet does have a hadith where he says, living with a woman is like a rib. A woman is like a rib. Straightening her means breaking her. So you don't want to, she has her way, certain things, but you can't be so rigid that you wind up snapping and breaking it because you want to impose certain things. Now, everybody comes along in their own pace, in their own space. And if you give her a little bit of space, she's going to help you. Trust me, a lot more than you think she is. Because sometimes, brothers, you know how we get, we just think we know it all. And then come to find out, they might be right. And if they are, then definitely, I might not tell them right away, but yeah. A lot of times. Take the advice.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Speaking of old school music, what type of music do you like to listen to?
I like everything, brother. I like everything. Like I said, I can listen to jazz. I can listen to hip hop. I listen to R&B. You name it, I like it. And I'm not into no heavy metal or nothing like that. But other than that, pretty much anything else, I can kind of listen to some of everything. Neo soul, all that.
Beautiful, yes, sir. Well, what would you like your legacy to be, sir?
My legacy, I like him to say that he was a good brother and that he did things where he wasn't harming people, he was helping them. That, and when people, my legacy for people to smile when my name is mentioned, not look frown up and be like, oh, not him. You know, I don't want to be that guy.
Beautiful, yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you, sir. I've learned a lot. You've given us information and inspiration. And inshallah, if you ever come to Atlanta or I come to New York, let's make sure that we link up, sir. I look forward to meeting you in person one day, inshallah.
Inshallah. I got family in Atlanta, so that's a possibility.
Okay, yes, sir. And my sister Miriam says, mashallah. And I want to and my sister's name says beautiful. And the fact that you said that you did filming and all of that, we got some communication that we got to make sure we stay connected on, brother, because I need some assistance in
yes,
learning.
yes, no doubt.
Praise be to Allah. Well, please give your family the greetings. We thank Allah for you and your sacrifices and the sacrifices of your family, and sending them nothing but love and power. Thank everyone who continues to like, share, subscribe to the People's Podcast. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Thank you very much.